David Spunt now in Washington with more on the federal response. And David, what do you have there?
Well, Bill, there is frustration among law enforcement, both local and federal. It's really palpable in speaking with sources. The Pima County Sheriff's Office still leading this investigation, but the FBI still continues to be involved. There were reports last week that the local sheriff was not sharing information with the feds. He denied that on camera in an interview with Fox late Friday. But more on the suspect. Officials with the FBI believe the man is 5'9" or 5'10" inches tall. Authorities say he wore this black 25-liter Ozark Trail hiker backpack. Details confirmed through forensic analysis by the FBI's Operational Technology Division. We've heard a lot about these gloves, as Matt just mentioned, over the past few days. The one glove that Matt mentioned in particular did contain some of the DNA authorities are interested in. They want to know if that DNA on the glove provides any sort of hit, Bill and Dana, connected to a person. But this is important. That suspect would already have to be in the FBI database. Listen here.
Been some kind of contact, be it an arrest, a possible person of interest, some reason that the DNA would be in that database. So it's not something where there's going to be DNA that it could link it to any person. There's going to have to be that kind of integration into it.
Agent who spent years with the Bureau. Most of the evidence in the case collected is at a private lab in Florida sent by the Pima County Sheriff's Office, but the FBI wants to take that evidence, whenever it gets a hold of it, to the FBI lab in Quantico, Virginia, outside of D.C., where investigators process the majority of evidence collected from around the country. Now, it's possible they eventually get that evidence, but for now it's in the custody of the Sheriff's Office. And of course, we've mentioned it, and it's important to keep saying it, the Bureau offering a $100,000 reward for information leading to Nancy Guthrie. Any information, we've had the number on our screen. You can call the FBI, 1-800-CALL-FBI. Bill,
All right,
Dana.
David, thanks. David Spunt working that story in Washington. Thank you, sir.
More on this with Callahan Walsh, an executive director of the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children and co-host of America's Most Wanted and In Pursuit. Callahan, thank you for being here. Savannah Guthrie issued this statement by video last night.
I wanted to say to whoever has her or knows where she is that it's never too late. And you're not lost or alone. And it is never too late to do the right thing. And we are here. And we believe. And we believe in the essential goodness of every human being.
So 2 questions for you, Callahan. One is your reaction to that video and the specific language of her saying you are not lost or alone, and then the challenges that the family has entering week 3, where the evidence, we get a little bit of here and there, but they want very much for this story to stay in the news so that they can help find their mother, but it gets harder without new evidence.
Yeah, watching that video just absolutely breaks my heart. You know, our family knows what she's going through. It took 2 weeks to find my brother Adam Walsh back in 1981 when he went missing in South Florida. And the not knowing is the hardest part, something my parents always said. But she hasn't given up hope, and that's what's important. There is still a possibility that Nancy can be found alive. We're all hoping for that outcome. And with this ebb and flow of information and the case going hot and cold, hot again, back to cold, it's just gut-wrenching for this family. We think we're so close to getting the perpetrator and getting Nancy back alive, just to be, have these individuals released again. It's so difficult for the family. I know how hard that was for her to make that video, but it's good to see that she hasn't given up hope.
Callahan, what I don't understand is why we've been given so few details. And maybe it's just reality. Maybe it's all they've got. Mm-hmm. I mean, we're just like going on the facts and the facts on the timeline that were given out, well, 2.5 weeks ago. You can address that in a moment. This is Ed Smart talking about, the search for his daughter in Utah as well. Here he was on ABC.
Once you have the initial shock, but it never goes away. And, at night you wonder, where is she? How is she surviving? What should I be doing to find her? And that just repeats over and over in your mind. In the end, I felt that it was so important to keep Elizabeth's face out there, to do everything that we possibly could to keep her alive in the news.
I find that comment so intimate and so important. I imagine you felt many of the same feelings and thoughts.
Absolutely. You know, during that search, it's so difficult for these families. You stay up at night having these horrible thoughts, and you feel powerless. You know, law enforcement is trying to do everything that they can, but obviously they can't share every piece of information, even with the family. And so you sit there at night thinking, what else can we do? How else can I get out there? How else can we keep this alive? And keeping the story in the media is part of that. You know, we talk to families all the time that say, continue to advocate for your missing children. Continue to advocate for your missing loved ones. Anytime there's an anniversary or something special, you know, get it out there to the public on social media or your local news. Make sure that people are continuing to talk about these stories.
One of the also very interesting thing, Callahan, is that just the new technologies that are being used in all of this. So obviously there's the DNA match. That's not necessarily new, but today we just saw that video of the helicopter doing a grid search, trying to make a match with her pacemaker, which we understood from an interview that Bill did last hour, that uses a very low battery so that pacemaker could, he said, would definitely still have battery. So if it's there nearby, it would ping.
Yeah, that sniffer technology that they've rolled out is very interesting. And this is something I said early on in the investigation, that they have to think outside the box, because what law enforcement regularly relies on is cell phone tracking, tracking credit cards, scanning license plates. They didn't have that in this case. All that was left behind at the scene of the crime. So they have to turn to these alternate methods. And this one, you know, that we don't see very often is one of those alternative methods. And hats off to them for thinking outside the box and rolling out this new type of technology.
So with regard to the DNA that's now being tested at the lab in Florida, it's my understanding that the family's DNA is already there, so they could test that and take people off the list. What if you find that DNA and you put it in the national system and you cross-check it with the local system and you don't get a match? Where do investigators go if they reach that point?
Right. Well, we know that there was some DNA collected in the home, unknown DNA that was not Nancy's or related to Nancy. The question is whether the new glove that was found on the side of the road, whether the DNA in that glove matches the unknown DNA in the home. If that's the case, then we know that's the perpetrator, because that glove matches the type of glove seen in the video. And so while it may not provide an immediate name if it's not a match in CODIS, because again, that DNA that was found in the home didn't match Nancy, but it was unknown, so it didn't hit to CODIS. But it does provide a breakthrough in the case. Honestly, it gives law enforcement a tool to move forward with to compare any future DNA of any suspects or persons of interest that they may come across.
Callahan Walsh, thank you so much for being with us today, and let's hope for some really good news, and then we'd love to have you back. Thank you.
Thank you for having me.
Hey everyone, I'm Emily Campagno. Catch me and my co-hosts Harris Faulkner and Kaylee McEnany on Outnumbered every weekday at 12 p.m. Eastern, or set your DVR. Also, don't forget to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page for daily highlights.